Welcome to Philly Coco Presents Side Project Spotlight, episode 57. This is a developer's journey into making cool stuff. I am Kotaro.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are Philly Coco, a Philadelphia-based Coco Heads community focused on Apple development. That primarily, but not exclusively, means iOS, Mac, tvOS, watchOS, and visionOS development. Philly Coco's true desire is to take you higher on your own developer journey. Whew. All right. Well, Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's.
Yay. We're back. 2024. I don't know about you. I went to an actual New Year's shindig for the first time. I had like a big party thing. There was live music and open bar, that kind of thing. Yeah. Was that
how was the how many drinks and how much
okay, so
yourself?
Okay, it was at Broken Goblet Brewing, which I think I've talked about before. And it was the first time I think doing this. It's funny. It started out pretty awkward. So I'm there by myself for one thing because I was going alone. I was basically there because Chrissy told me that not to be grumpy on New Year's, because apparently I was grumpy last year at New Year's. So the kids being annoying around. So she's like, go to the Broken Goblet thing. I was like, fine. I paid the money, got my ticket, I went. And at first, it's really awkward. We get there, and those of us who bought tickets for tables, like there was a buffet, so we go to eat the buffet, and we're just standing in line in silence. And someone is like, "This is awkward. I feel like I have to scream." And someone literally just starts yelling a little bit just to make some noise. Apparently, people can't handle just being in line silently. So it starts off like that, and then everybody pairs off and they go to their different tables, and so I'm just like there by myself at my own table the whole time. But it's okay. The food was decent, and then the drinks, I did not drink that much. I think it was like a 4-hour event or something. I think I had 3 beers.
Oh, you got them. Yeah. You got
other people though. Other people had like way too much to drink, but I'm guessing they were taking Ubers home or someone else was driving. But I never leave that place. Unable to drive. I'm always stone cold sober. Like I stop drinking an hour at least before I leave. So anyway,
very good.
The music was really good. It was really fantastic. It was a lot of really good. It was like all covers, because it was New Year's, but it was really interestingly done. It was this young band, and I took some pictures with my phone. I got some cool shots, and that was fun. So I had a good time. Had some good beer, good time, good food, and everybody's cool. We dressed up a little bit. Some people went with full suits, and other people were dressed down like normal. There's a lot of dancing going on. I don't usually see that. Like literally on the front of the stage, lots of dancing going on. So I think it was pretty successful. I'm hoping they do it again next year, and maybe tweak it a little bit because it was a little bit slow when the band was off the stage taking a break. But it was good. Then we did a countdown, and we did the countdown twice because iPhones are way more accurate than the television broadcast. Because I don't know how they were getting their TV in, but the TV was off by many seconds. So I'm we're checking our iPhones and stuff, and we're just like, oh, it's New Year's, and then they're like, no, wait, it's on the TV. The ball hasn't dropped yet. So then we all turned around and looked at the TV, and then we did it again for the full countdown. So it was a thing. Just goes to show you, man. I remember that when I was a kid, if you remember, we didn't have these super accurate clocks.
Yeah.
So, you'd watch it on television. That's what synchronized everybody. And even then, when it was over the air, I think it actually synchronized better. And then everybody would go outside at the same time. Then if everybody had cable, I feel like there was more of a delay depending on how you got your TV. And it's just gotten worse over time.
So you think about it, like if you're doing streaming, it's phenomenally worse.
That's what I mean. I mean,
it can be different for each. Like if I know, like in terms of feedback, it takes at least a couple, maybe a second or two before there's on the other side, it's like, oh, we got what you're saying, right? So there's a delay.
Exactly.
So significant delay. Yeah.
I think that's what was going on. Maybe their television was a over IP, as most is now. So I just remember nowadays, whenever I am around home and New Year's happens, everybody goes out to bang the pots and stuff, which and it's all different times now. We're used to be very, very coordinated. So it's funny. We have these devices in our pockets and on our wrists that are accurate to milliseconds or nanoseconds or something, right? But it actually messes up the communal event of New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Because we're not all synchronized even we're somehow not synchronized, even though we have the most accurate clocks in human history. I just find that funny. It's been something I've been noticing the last several years. But I had a good time. So what did you guys do? Did you do anything fun?
No, I kept mine's very, very low key, and just watch the ABC, do the generic, watch the Ryan Seacrest stuff for like 30 minutes, half of which is commercials.
Yeah, well, true.
I don't know, and drank like a glass of wine, like half a glass of wine. So it's not even like I was not even going full tilt.
Not even.
Yeah. What about you, Aaron?
No, I didn't. I was sick. I didn't do anything.
Well, that sucks. I mean,
right.
Last year I was kind of sick, and
fair.
I think that's why I was a little grumpy last year. In my defense, I was like recovering. I remember now. Mm-hmm. So that sucks. Being sick on a holiday on New Year's, and then especially New Year's, you can't drink or anything when you're sick. You certainly don't feel like doing that.
Sure. No.
Yeah, I'm still recovering a little bit. But
no. Well,
mostly okay.
You sounded pretty good.
Yeah, you sound great. You sound like your normal self. But because we're just in the new year, the obvious episode here was about New Year's resolution of what we intend to do. As developers, I don't necessarily prescribe to the concept of New Year's resolution as a general principle, but one of the things that is kind of nice to do is set certain ideal goals from a learning perspective, at least for me, of maybe something I would like to tackle in the new year. Kind of like a nice way to like, especially with the advent of Vision Pro coming out, there's always there's a clear opportunity to be like, okay, that's a goal that I want to set for myself. So, do you, Aaron and or Steve, have any New Year's resolutions that you want to tackle for 2024?
Let's go with Aaron first for a change pace.
Sure. Besides just like hopefully shipping something.
Yeah, I share that goal.
Like, yeah,
that's a very nebulous concept. So let's tighten up on what that means.
Ship something.
Ship something like in the App Store as a product to sell on the interwebs.
I want to play with some kind of like hardware stuff that connects to an app where the hardware is more the focus. So I don't get like a Raspberry Pi or one of those other mini computers and play with doing something where I have some more tactile feedback than just poking around in Xcode all the time. But I'm not sure what the project is. Other than that, maybe I'll get around to messing with Mojo and some of the other AI stuff that I've mentioned before, but I don't know. I need to come up with a more specific project, so that maybe that's the first thing I need to do.
Yeah, the AI stuff is probably something we should all look at a little bit more.
So AI. I guess the in air quotes.
Yeah, always. I'm pretty consistent with doing that. I don't see anybody else doing that. No one's pointed it out. Like, why do you do that? Because I don't believe that AI is intelligent. So.
I guess not so much that I think that it has like intelligence in the way we would understand it. Not in the sense of like much more of a nebula.
It's an algorithm.
What they call it, like the AGI or what is it? Artificial general intelligence, right? I just think it's much useful as a tool to sort of expand what you could do versus at a higher exponential rate of like say research or exploration of ideas.
I feel like these tools are just something we're going to end up using more this next year, and I actually think research is one of the worst uses of these things because you can't believe anything that gets spit out. Because the way I look at the LLM types, and we're not going to go into the whole AI digression, but like it's kind of a lossy compression algorithm for the internet to be really, really, really hand wavy. Don't email me. It's
email
like
you. They're just going to DM you.
DM me. They'll DM me. X. So like these things, they call it hallucination, which is probably is a weird term of art. But you can't fully trust the results of these things. That's why I've been using stuff like Bing, and I guess now it's wrapped into the Copilot app, which is a nice little thing you can use on iOS. because at least there it gives you references so you can like double check it, and it's basically just interpolating into the search engine results into the prompt, I guess, and and I find that useful. But it is good for like if you feed it stuff and you're like process this stuff, like you can have it make me a Python script to process this stuff into a chart. Like it can do that kind of thing. As long as I think you can validate the data you're sticking in there or you're getting from it, and you could really use it, I think, for processing different tasks more than looking up stuff. Although it is useful in the sense where you can interrogate known like data sources, and that's part of how the GPTs like at the store that is about to open, if it hasn't already by the time you listen to this, for OpenAI, that works. Like you can give it data, and I've thought about doing some stuff with that because you can because it's super easy to do. It's like there's going to be a gold rush of people making these stupid AI bots because it's so
the
easy.
kind of AI stuff that I'm interested in is not just like messing around with the whatever off the shelf things that you can subscribe to from OpenAI. It's like building my own models
or fine tuning them.
Yeah.
You're not going to try to build
too.
a foundation model, right?
No, not necessarily, but also that I think the kind of things that I want to do probably don't need a foundational large language model.
Yeah,
they would be more focused where you can use something more basic. Where one of these models is complete overkill.
I like the non-LM stuff. I think more recently, I like some of the things that really impressing me are like this. I was talking to guys before we start recording. Like in Premiere, you can get this plugin. And there's some other services that can automatically rough cut. Like you can rough cut your multicam footage. So if you like a podcast, multiple people, it can just cut the back and forth and stuff for you, which can save you like literally hours of time. Depends on how much you go into it. And I don't know what the algorithm is they use for that, but it's like it's some kind of model that they trained. That's really cool. And the stuff with visual stuff like Photoshop's autofill is really impressive. And there's increasingly some video focused generative AI models as well, which I think are going to be really interesting for independent filmmakers at some point.
I mean, I am fascinated about the rotoscoping idea. Much more like if the model is just self-contained, can it do simple things like, okay, I have this character that I want to animate based off of like my physical acting, right? So I do a little dance. The character can do a little. I mean, they technically have that already. I think it's still a little bit morphy. It has a little bit of that like weird blending issues that it has. But I think is
there a specific model you're talking about that does that?
I forgot what it was called. I think it was like something like Animate Diff, or I know I'm getting it wrong.
There's some product that uses like a generative.
Yeah,
model
but
or something.
I don't know if it necessarily uses any base model, right?
That's the thing. Nowadays, everything gets AI slapped on it, and that I don't even know if it's all using what is considered a technique in the AI research space. You know what I mean?
Right. What I do want to do is much closer to what Aaron's saying. Is like lots of these little micro AIs that would just be focused on its specific task, but not necessarily like go out of its way to like say, "Hey, I'm AI."
I agree. I agree with you guys. I think the best use case for these things, especially for our space, is something's focused that can run on device. I'm really curious at what WWDC is going to be like this year. I really hope that Apple provides some stuff for us to play with in that regard. In the meantime, I mean, there are increasingly like open source models that you can run on a decent Mac, but I mean, even I feel like I'm tempted to upgrade. I feel like I'm going to start doing that stuff, and I'm going to be like, oh, it's time to get an M3 Max with like for $8,000 or something. Because you can never have enough compute power for these things. But there is some. I especially am interested, I think, in the visual stuff too, because that's cool, and it's like and I've been playing around making over the holidays. I made just these ridiculous images with text prompts, in Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, and also I tried giving it photos. Didn't work super well. I think I want to try again using something like Diffusion B or whatever. I think that's what we were using a long time ago to try that out, like one of those on device models where you can. Because what I was trying to do is I took a photo of like something happening at my during the holidays, and then I was trying to make it, like you said, rotoscope. But I was trying to make it in the style of. In this case, it was my nephew wanted a picture in the style of a video game that he likes. I was like trying to make that, and so it kind of worked. But then it kind of made it so different that it wasn't really the same thing anymore. It was just basically overwrote it entirely. But the fact is, I was just playing around with that stuff over the holiday. It was a lot of fun, not super useful, but I have found those things to be useful for like making thumbnails for YouTube. Occasionally, I'll do that to help. Like in Canva has an integration. So basically, all these places, I feel like we're going to be using AI all over the place because it's where it's integrated appropriately. It works really well. Canva has some for image generation, and they have one for text generation, like magic text, I think they call it, something like that. And it will rewrite your stuff for you. Like you can say, "I'll make it like happier, make it more blah blah." You can give it some prompting, and it'll rewrite or generate some text in some style. Like you want to, like, I'm making a greeting card. Give me some kind of happy text for an 18th birthday or something, and then you can tweak it yourself. And that kind of use case increasingly is common, I think.
Actually, I was editing our meetup for Philly Coco's monthly meetup for this week. I was just tweaking it just to add like some potential topics of conversation for that meetup. And it had a little button that I didn't touch. Yeah, a little button is like, do you want our AI to generate a description for you?
Oh yeah, everything does that now, and they all have that.
Like,
and
what?
Well, we had that one in the Slack where someone was asking about summarizing YouTube videos, and it was like there was a summarizer product that you could point apparently at a YouTube video, and it'll create a summary, and it worked decently. When I looked at it, I was like, that kind of thing is what these models are really good at because they've been trained on all this stuff, and just being able to understand the structure. Like I think most of the stuff you're pointing these things at, it has a pretty obvious structure anyway to it, so it's very understandable why these models have been able to pick up that kind of structure and then extract the important bullet points or whatever, and bullet point eyes, things. That's really useful. That kind of stuff is useful. Again, though, I'm not sure how much I trust the output. I'm gonna have to use them more often on things that I know very well in order to evaluate how accurate it is. Like is it injecting its own stuff in there, or is it just extracting sentences and summarizing it?
I am sort of curious, Aaron.
I don't want to accidentally plagiarize. Too. That's another thing.
Then don't use any of these models.
Exactly. I was like, maybe as a starting point, maybe just to like play around with, but
Yeah. Is there any reason why Mojo? Getting back to sort of like the Mojo. Specific, that language is of interest to you?
Which
I guess a superset of Python?
Yeah.
This is cool, man.
It's the cool new thing.
It's the cool hotness.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to do what is, so can you remind us what Mojo is, Aaron? Do you have a good definition in your head?
I don't know if I can remember the good definition, but yeah, superset of Python, and the whole idea I think is that it figures out all of the like hardware optimizations to actually get these like AI systems to run properly on whatever hardware you want to use without having to like hyper optimize your code directly. Python is notoriously slow.
Is the analogy? It's the C++ of Python. It's like
sort of, but
it's like the Java of. It looks like it's a Java of AI. It says write Python or scale all the way down. It says write everything in one language. That's on their website.
Yeah, I think the idea is that you can like just write your code in Python, but that it's like it can still it compiles it and can optimize it. So it actually runs properly on the hardware instead of having to like, okay, I've developed my code in Python, but now to actually get it to scale, I have to like rewrite it in C or something like that.
I haven't tried this yet, but apparently a lot of people, I think maybe you need a subscription to the OpenAI stuff, but you can have like ChatGPT generate Python for you. I don't think it's Mojo, but Python is it's like a useful language and it's used everywhere for like AI applications, I guess, especially, but also for building charts and all kinds of stuff like that. So I haven't done Python though in so long. Like I don't remember anything except that I hate the fact that it uses white space way it does. But other than that, I don't remember anything about using Python. Really, it's been so many years since I built anything in it.
Right.
But you don't have to anymore. That's the thing. Like you can just ask the bot to build it for you because there's apparently been so much Python written that you could generate like basic stuff like that you need.
I mean, is that where we're going? I mean, one of the things I did find hilarious when I was thinking about like, why would I ever have it write my code? And then I thought, well, it can write my tests, right? It'd be great if it could dynamically figure out what kind of tests to write for me.
Don't let the TDD people hear you.
And then oh no, they're hating my guts.
Pitchforks coming for you.
I freely admit that I'm not. I'm probably 95% sure I'm wrong on my opinion here, and it's just I'm just too in my space not to enjoy that experience, and it just comes down to enjoyment.
Yeah.
What do I want to spend my time with? And I don't want to spend half my time writing the right types of tests to test the thing that I know how to implement. So
yeah, something like TCA has the very like exhaustive and like kind of I think well-defined way of mocking things, writing tests. I wonder if you could fine-tune a model to with like enough TCA examples so it could accurately generate tests for you in that model that way, because there's like a consistent pattern to it more so than with using the normal tools.
To be fair, you want to when you're testing behavior of some kind of business logic or that kind of stuff, where you want to ensure that the output is correct and is proper every time, right? There's no like regressions or that kind of stuff. Like it makes 100% sense, and I'm absolutely wrong in my opinion. I just somehow I'm sort of stuck in this idea that developers are like craftsmen, and that we should take pride in understanding the depths of this process. But again,
you
can argue the
right.
the process of testing is a part of the experience. So
but that doesn't mean that you can't automate parts of it once you understand what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm saying something like the composable architecture. I'm just wondering if it'd be easier to make that work, reliably, because I'm not sure how like when you talk about generating tests, it's like, okay, but like what is it going to generate? Like, if you write it in a way like TCA where
it'll
it's
give
very
us 100% code completion.
But what is it testing? Like the thing is, what is
testing if the view just shows up?
I mean, what is it writing? Like, you know what I mean? Like it has to the model has to be able to understand. The model has to be able to like embedded in. It has to be like the structure of your code. So it can regurgitate it. So I guess my point is a lot of the code rate is not as well structured as we might think it is. Like it has idiosyncrasies in it.
Sure.
And so I wonder how well it would generate beyond like simple stuff.
I mean, the hilarious part is it would be hilarious if you can get the thing to write the test. It fails the test and then goes, you know what? I got a solution for that.
Get to a red green.
And then rewrites my code
red green
to make it go green. And of course, it doesn't understand context, so it'll completely write it so that it just passes the test, but doesn't actually functionally work.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about all this stuff. That's what I mean. You can't trust the output of these things 100%. So you have to really know what you're doing first.
Exactly.
So first, write the test by hand, go through the pain, and then you can use the tool to automate it.
It's like veggies to kids. It's just,
so basically,
it's important to do. I get it, but
So basically, Aaron is going to build some kind of AI monstrosity to take over the world with some kind of hardware,
and then it connects to a robot, which
connects to a robot.
Will basically be our new Skynet.
And then there's a really simple like Swift UI iPhone app with a button on it to turn it on and off
on an Apple Watch.
An Apple Watch, so that you can turn it off at any time.
We stream the commands to the iPhone, for which then we'll send the signal to the Apple TV, for which then we'll send the signal to the visionOS.
That's right. And then when Apple says, "Oh, reject it because it doesn't do enough," and Aaron will be like, "Do you want the robots to take over or not? Accept my app."
Oh, that'll be an interesting conversation with the reviewer.
App review. Oh my god, app review. We could go on the whole thing, but let's not go on the whole thing about app review being annoying.
Okay, so I guess we can move on to you, Steve.
Okay, so
what's your New Year's resolution?
I have way too many things.
Mm-hmm. So let's tighten that
mind. I have way too many things because I have a lot of stuff going on. So I was thinking, one of the big things I've been doing, we briefly touched upon this. I want to use more AI tools. We just talked about that, but my goal, of course, is with Aaron here is to ship something by WWDC, before WWDC, I hope, because that's 6 months, right? Something like that.
Sure.
And I'm talking like small things. I have several side project ideas I've been tinkering with that I've gotten from places, and we talked about some of them here. So I just have to like finish one of these things enough to just ship it, even if it's just like a free app. I just want to get it shipped. So that's like number one kind of priority there for the programming thing is ship a freaking, I'm going to write down the notes, ship a freaking side project, you loser. Okay, so that's where I wrote my note to myself. And then, besides, that's to keep me motivated. Okay. And then, so I could read that every day. And then, but besides that,
you know what you can make?
What?
That hasn't been done yet for Vision Pro.
That's impossible. Oh, in Vision Pro.
All right,
I was going to get to that.
You can make a fart app.
They're going to reject that immediately.
Why would they reject that?
Because they said there's too many.
They reject it because there's too many on the iOS platform.
No,
they don't want. There is zero.
AR farts. AR farts are too much.
All you're doing is you just have fart. You just pinch. You
have emoji clouds coming out. I mean,
you just have cloud. Like the more you pinch, the more smoke just like blooms around you.
God. The AI fart apps,
and then you double pinch to like get the extra squeeze, or you would squeeze. You do the drag gesture to do that little kind of fart. You know?
Oh my god! Oh, we just can't help but talk about fart apps on this podcast.
Just how horrible can we make this?
But yeah, visionOS is one of the things I have. Maybe, but I want to talk about that briefly with you guys about the viability of working on visionOS side project when you probably don't have the hardware. But before that, the other thing I have been doing already, and I'm going to focus more on, is backend stuff and server side stuff, because it's been a while since I was doing a lot of that. Maybe I'll learn a different language. Not sure yet, but I started pretty small. Like yesterday, I was setting up a DigitalOcean droplet for the first time, like from scratch for years. And not for really, I was using like a one-step installer for Ghost, but I had to set it up and log in, and I was able to play around with DigitalOcean again, and that's just like step one. I don't know when I'll get to building like custom stuff on the back end, but I was thinking about it because for my other thing I do, like the Jenkintown Arts Garage stuff, I'm trying to redo the website before my Squarespace subscription is up in like a week. So because it got really expensive. I was doing the books right for the year, and I was like, why does this feel like it's more? It's gone up significantly since I subscribed, and it's not that useful to me. So, because our business model it's barely a business, but anyway, we used to do events during the pandemic, and then that became uncompetitive, and so we've been trying to get this podcast to work, and then we transitioned that to a YouTube show, and we're trying to build up the audience there. But I really want a good home base for everything. I really need the website to be a centerpiece and maybe do memberships, that kind of thing. So I was looking around for different products, and I settled on trying out Ghost, and you can just pay them $9 a month, and that's what a normal smart person would do. But a crazy smart person would say, I'm just going to build it myself, because it's only $7 a month with backups from digital. Now, the thing is, you probably should just subscribe to Ghost Pro if you're going to try this, because they give you basically everything. However, there's limitations with it, and it scales up based on how many members you have, like how many emails you're going to have. But what you can do is just install it yourself, and then you can set up Mailgun, which is their integration for sending email, and they have a free plan which they hide from you but still exists, a pay-as-you-go plan, and then you can just link them together. It took me, I don't know, I went to get it all installed, mostly me waiting for scripts to run because I picked the slowest, cheapest DigitalOcean droplet, and it took like about an hour or two. I don't know. However, get it installed. But beyond this, I want to, besides getting this set up, I now have a little space where I can experiment with things. So I want to mess around. This is not as like, it's not like WordPress where you can just install whatever you want willy nilly, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to use WordPress, because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again. I was like years ago I used to use WordPress. I'm just not ready to go back to that level of plugin-ness. But the idea is now I have a little droplet again, and I need to redo my personal webpage and blog and do something similar to this. I'm going to probably just kill that droplet. I have a really, really old version of Ghost on my blog that keeps breaking, and I can't easily upgrade it. So I'm probably just gonna kill the whole droplet and start over again. I have like 4 articles that nobody cares about. But anyway, my point is I have this little place now, and now I can start thinking about for this other business. Because I really need to turn it into a business in 2024. That's like the goal. Like need some revenue.
So that's a real
a real goal. Like that's like this is why I've been this is the tug of war with
this is the
Jenkintown Arts Craft stuff. So that's why I've been like torn between like the coding stuff and this stuff, and it's been a lot of time management stuff because I need this to be like revenue generating. Like I can't keep I don't want to keep spending money on all this stuff for with nothing. And so I need to get the show that we have to work, or maybe something else. So this gives me an avenue to build up like a Patreon type of service, but own it myself with the complexity that can come with that. But it means in the long term there's more options, and since I'm technical, maybe if I want to build something, then now I can. I have a place I can just do it, and I don't have to worry about I'm on some service that I don't have control over.
I mean,
honestly, that's why I tried it.
It still is relevant, especially when we're talking about career, keeping your career options open.
That too.
You're diversified, right? You're not just, you're. I don't even know if they call that a full stack developer in that sense.
I mean, it's still a term.
It's a term, but it's much more pertaining to from the front end to the back end web development, right? Versus like an iOS front end, back end. You're going the full distance.
I want to build for something. I want to build some kind of API backend in some other language, either in the updated version of .NET, because I've done that before in .NET, and I haven't done the latest versions of it, or some other language, maybe Swift, maybe something else, maybe probably something else, honestly, than Swift. Even though it would be, I'm so curious to do it with Swift just because I want to do something just as you're right, just because it's been a while since I've been in that game with the modern tools and the modern versions of like CI tools that are available. Like at work we use all this stuff, right? But we use it's like we don't use the stuff you would use yourself for your own indie projects. Like we don't use GitHub, we use GitLab. Is that right? GitLab. We use all internal stuff. We have our own Jenkins for CI. Like I want to use Xcode Cloud and try that out. I want to use just like GitHub Actions. I want to use maybe Circle CI for stuff. Just to get the experience.
Yeah, I mean, using Xcode Cloud.
I want to use Xcode Cloud because it's there.
It's there.
And I've never gotten it to work, and I just want it to work. I just want to prove to me that it works, Apple.
We were doing it for, I think our issue at the time, because it was also beta, was that we were trying to deploy it to just a pure watchOS app. I believe it wasn't at the time.
Like that.
And it just didn't work for whatever reason.
But
we'll see.
But back end stuff is what I want to focus on some more this year, and ship something. And I want to build something. And I said before, I wanted to build something with composable architecture just to learn it.
Interesting.
So that's going to be that may or may not be something that ships. I just want to try an actual app to build it that way, because TCA can go really deep. I mean, I've been if you haven't been on the Slack for Point Free, like the stuff people post there, they go deep on this architecture, and they find all the little edge cases.
That Slack is a private Slack, or is that like you have to subscribe to their
is
thing
that for
to get
members?
access to it?
Yeah.
Is that a members only? I guess.
I joined it. I don't know if it's just for members. I don't remember how I got into it. I did subscribe to them, so maybe that's why I got into it. I don't know. But I mean, I would recommend everybody in the iOS, Apple developer ecosystem should probably subscribe to Point Free. Like for real, I don't know if their sale is still going on, and they don't know me. I don't know them, and they're not sponsoring us. I'm just telling you,
this is your not a sponsor.
This is my not a sponsor. I'm just saying, like the Point Free and functional programming concepts are extremely useful, and they're very common in Swift, but they're not necessarily common in the community as much.
Although they're becoming more so. Well understood.
They're not as well understood.
Yeah,
but Point Free will help you understand. So I think you should probably subscribe. They seem like nice guys too.
It's good educational. They are doing a try. I think they're doing a talk on Try Swift.
Oh, cool. I've seen some of the talks on YouTube, and they're great.
Yeah, that's a conference in Japan and New York, but I think that's happening in March.
Yeah, I think we had links in the last episode to like things like Swifty Stack. So basically, two things I did last year. I think it was Swifty Stack, and then the point free subscription. Those two things helped me to, and I'm still gaining value from them. I'm still like reviewing the content and those things. The professional development, if that's like a goal of yours 2024 as an Apple platform developer, I just cannot recommend enough both those Swifty Stack and the point free. Just do it. Just do it. Like pay for it for a month or whatever, and just for the point free or whatever. Just go check it out. No, seriously, you'll just your mind will be expanded if you haven't already been doing a lot of functional programming stuff.
Sure.
So and they have a lot of good Swift UI content. Anyway, so backend app publishing, and we already talked about some of the AI things. So that's kind of what I think my focus is going to be, because I need revenue.
Okay. Well, that's a good goal.
That's a good goal. Like that's like my primary motivator. I was like, is this going to help me make money? Yeah, I was like, so it's my other gig, my other project here is like I needed to make money, so I'm going to be trying anything I can, and that means probably stuff outside of the Apple ecosystem. So that'll be a nice change of pace, get me some more recent experience in that stuff.
I think that's also good to understand from sort of as you update with variety of things of what's been working, what's not been working. It'll be kind of an interesting lesson for us in your journey. We will vicariously go along the business ride with you. I mean, that's kind of the goal, building some businesses. I mean, I guess that could be the overarching goal. 2024 is get actual revenue, man. Get revenue, make the money, make more than the studio display money.
I mean, seriously, I don't need. I just want a time. I mean, we got like someone to give us donations once, and it was like $5, and it was someone's dad. It was still awesome. Like, I just want people who give you money for finding value in something you created is a wonderful experience, and I want to continue doing that, and I want it to grow to the point where I can just do that all the time, and not have like the day job. That's the end goal, but that's like not a 2024 thing. That seems unlikely. Right. But like, that's the end goal, I think. For I'm still in that mindset, even though it's not worked out so far. But that's the mindset a lot of people in the community had years ago, and I feel like it might be coming back now. I think it might be coming back. I feel like we're back. We're almost back with the whole indie thing again. I feel it, right? You feel it, guys? You feel it?
I do.
We got like the conferences back. We got the cool Swift language stuff is getting exciting again. We got the AI tools that are exciting people. We got visionOS.
So I'm on like the little like shaky boat kind of experience. It's like I've been on this hype train before.
I know
for the past 2 or 3 years. Like, am I ready for this new one? This new wave? Because it's coming.
You got to ride the hype. I got to ride the hype waves. I guess we should think of them as waves instead of trains. That way you can surf them. Yeah. Got to surf the hype waves.
Surf them at the peak and then get out. Get out the moment it's the peak. Get out.
That's right.
Put all your chips in. And be like, done. All right. Now crash.
Yeah. But so Kotaro, what about you?
I'm going to do this in reverse order of our little list here. But this year, I plan to at least start experimenting with sort of fighting game mechanics using the Godot engine. I think it's kind of not necessarily a passion, but it's kind of like what I've always wanted to do. So I might start building just basic prototypes in Godot game engine versus Unity. I want to see just how far I whether or not I like the experience, because I think every time I use Godot, something feels just slightly off. It's just how I approach my tools. But it's improved over time. And so I feel like it's almost like how I felt about Unity in the beginning, where it felt great to use a good fair bit of the time, but there's always something just a little bit off, and I just have to be patient with the development. The development of the Godot engine is at 4.2, moving to 4.3 pretty rapidly, and a lot of it is at core, because it's an open source game engine, they just improve at an exponential rate that is fantastic. And generally speaking, the team that makes it seems genuine, and they have they're not going to go full Unity in terms of like changing their pricing.
Never go full Unity.
Never go full Unity. Oh my goodness. All right, so that's that. I want to Procreate came out with a new animation software called Dreams.
That's cool.
Which is kind of like animation software I've always wanted to make for the iPad, and I've sort of built prototypes for us in the not for us, but in the past to test out animation using PencilKit. It's still as a tool, it's a little weird because it's trying to be two things at once. It's still trying to be Procreate. So Procreate is a drawing app, similar to Photoshop or Clip Studio or any of those type of drawing apps. But what I liked about Procreate, the drawing app, was that it was just very non-intrusive. It wasn't, the controls weren't always in your way. You just you had certain simple dials and you can just focus on the art. Procreate Dreams is a little bit of the deviation away from that, and so it's still Procreate. It's the new Procreate art engine inside of the animation tool, but the timeline kind of is of this weird, wonky, very liquidy timeline that I'm not sure I entirely agree with from an experiential point of view, or it takes a little time to get used to. So it's not like a traditional keyframe animation app, or even like Flash, where you can kind of more like a vector animation app where you can take shapes and animate them morphing in between one shape to the other in the timeline. So it takes a little getting used to. I think the learning curve of Procreate Dreams versus Procreate is a little higher. So I'm trying to figure out what I like about it, whether or not I can create a tool that can actually complement that to be a little more free flowing as a keyframe animation app versus this app. So I think I might still consider doing an animation app, but much more of a sketchy variety version for the iPad. That would be my goal if I was going to continue that path. So I might explore that. So I'm going to explore Procreate Dreams before I really decide on whether I want to pursue that as a bigger project. The other thing that I'm trying to do is get good with shaders. Metal shaders really helped my exploration with metal shaders. If in the prior podcast, if you've been following that journey, has been kind of crazy, and I've been really enjoying exploring what I can do with shaders. One of the things that I think is a very not sneaky-ish kind of feature that they added in iOS 17 was the ability to add metal shaders as a modifier, which I believe you could have done before using something called visual effects modifier, but this one now has much more concrete, modifiers: color modifier, layer modifier, layer effects, color effects, distortion effects that are around certain particular principles around shaders that we can do to manipulate not just the vertices or the pixels, pixels in this case, but also the colors and combination of all of them, because you can stack these modifiers like you normally can with any modifier in SwiftUI. You can do a lot of crazy visual effects. I mean, we're at basically with SwiftUI, you could do stuff that you could do in old school Flash in the first version of SwiftUI, where you can morph shapes into the other and animate them and shrink them and scale them and rotate them. This version, iOS 17, now you add this effect where you can add particle effects without relying on a SpriteKit game engine, or morphing shapes in way crazier different a ripple effect, or you can get those effects quite easily. It wasn't so that you couldn't do it before using a metal shader view with UI view representable, but you can actually do that. Take those meta shaders and using dynamic lookup, you get access to it through as almost like a static function through the shader library down, Pixelate or whatever. And really, all you need to do is have collect your stash of metal shader files in which Paul Hudson has as for example as in his Inferno library. It's just a ton of metal shaders that you can get anywhere on the internet. Once they're there, you can just use it and utilize them into your app practically for free.
But you wanna learn how to make them, right?
I do want to learn how to make them, or at least be able to read them, because the hardest part about shaders and the shader language, one of the hugest barriers to entry is Metal is written in a sort of C++. I think it's 14 standard, and it's a C++ like language, And
Oh, but
that
it's
in
not.
itself
It's
is
not. It's not actually C++.
it's not actually C++.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was.
I might be wrong. I
don't know.
I'm probably wrong here, but basically the way it's C++ like.
It's definitely like not the C++ I used to write in college.
No. There's no star. There's no prefix of stars everywhere, pointers or stuff like that. But a lot of it's optimized for being able to do like complex math, trigonometry, sine, all that, stuff that you thought you got away from once you graduated college.
I mean, you did, yeah. No, not if you want to do metal.
I mean, not if you want to do metal, right? I mean, or game development for that matter. But that's the thing. Like, that's the thing that's crazy about this, and in sort of further context, visionOS, is that you will have to learn that stuff. You don't get away with it. You don't get away from it now.
Even in visionOS, it's not abstracted.
Particularly in visionOS, I think people misunderstand. Like, you can do the generic, I'm going to build a Windows style app, and it'll just stay contained within the window and still be perfectly functional, be perfectly fine. First generation visionOS apps will primarily be glorified desktop apps in 3D. And maybe the sell point is that you can stretch the windows to absurd distances of height and width, right?
A billion Excel cells.
If you want your Excel sheet to be at the height of your ceiling, you could do it.
I want massive Excel sheet. I want my entire wall to be an Excel.
At least as far as I can tell. Yeah, you could do that, right? You can do 10 windows. I'm assuming 10 or more, right? Because you could just stack them and then reorder them in however ways as you want to, right? So in a way, it's like basically saying, before, you don't have to buy, like if you're a day trader, right? Normally you're constrained by how many monitors you can see, right?
You don't need to buy like 3 $500 monitors. You can buy one $3,500 headset you can wear for 2 hours at a time. It makes perfect sense for day traders.
Right. But think about it, right? Like, day traders would also have, like, say maybe like they need to watch the news, right? But then they want to watch, like, you can watch up to 6 4K videos, I think that was the term.
At the same time?
At the same time, right? So you can watch like CNN, Fox, whatever, right? New business or whatever the CNBC, whatever those, and then you just have them there on your left side. You have your dashboards and all the charts and whatever in your front of you, and then you maybe have like articles on your, so you have like five articles on your right side, whatever, right? Whatever day traders do.
The window manager is better than the Mac OS one, which.
That's a fair point.
Because I mean, you need to be able to like come back into it and have everything exactly where it needs to be again.
Yeah, so I think the challenge, like that, probably most likely Safari will be the biggest app being utilized, right?
Oh yeah, because you could just put a giant, like, you can just browser windows do stuff,
right? So then, what is the value of an app that will give you much more dialed in controls of like, but maybe those browsers aren't optimized for that experience, right? Or the other one I can think of is like, maybe you do online gambling, which I'm not a fan of, but you could technically play, 20 poker games at once.
I mean, you could.
Or play chess.com 20 times against 20 opponents, right? Like that's an idea.
Or you could build an AI bot to do it for you.
You could do that too.
Don't do that. I think that would be probably definitely violating the rules.
To be able to see it is,
somebody's doing that if they haven't already done it.
Well, here we've put it out there in the universe.
We didn't put it out there. It's already been out there. I'm not going to take credit for
I'm
that.
sorry.
But
I'll take credit for it.
We don't recommend gambling in any form.
No. I mean, it's fine, but it's, do with you're a responsible adult. Yes. Be a responsible adult.
We're not going to recommend it though.
Yeah.
So you want to do if I'm hearing right, you want to do some visionOS stuff and you're saying you need to understand more about game development and like things like metal shaders in order to do the advanced stuff on visionOS.
I think just to do the cool stuff, for lack of a better word. I think one of the things that I find interesting about metal shaders for iOS 17 is it introduces a different UI paradigm that we didn't have access to, or we had access, but it would have been a lot more painful to do prior to iOS 17. So imagine loading screens that are a lot more engaging than just your, skeletal swipes or whatever.
It's totally what I dream about regularly, loading screens.
Right. But the point is like part of loading screens design is to be like, hold on, wait, right?
Your device is too slow. Your internet is too slow.
Yeah, but like this glorified spinning thing is like a very annoying. Like over time, you're just like it's just one of those.
I'd rather have
annoyances.
a Flappy Bird clone,
right?
To play,
or that would be cool, but much more like in terms of like stuff can kind of slowly animate in a more, ethereal way, or much more like I feel like this was going to bring back skeuomorphism.
You could
make different fashions. Right?
So you could apply metal shaders, you're saying, to more mundane user interface elements just to make the experience of using the entire application better.
Right. And I think that the immersiveness of that can come back a little bit closer to like skeuomorphism days where...
are you talking about in like a iOS app or still talking about visionOS?
visionOS, both.
Because it does. It works across the platforms, right? You can do metal shaders across all of Apple's platforms, correct?
I mean, some of the best video games I've felt that had the best UI design had ways to like sort of captivate your eyes a little bit, or like keep you in the immersion of the app experience or the game experience. Like Persona 5 is like my pinnacle of like absurd UI interactions and UI transitions. The loading screen has people like walking through the buses, but they're like static images, but there's like all this sort of thought and detail of like keeping you immersed in that world, right? And it has a personality that is just like it's unapologetically what it is.
I feel like you're working yourself up to just making a game.
Yes,
like a full-on visionOS game.
That is not a lie. I think
visionOS game.
Day one when I started working for my company, I was like, I think we're going to make a game. And they're like, we don't make games here. It's like, not yet.
But I mean a visionOS game. I feel like you want to make a visionOS game.
So the visionOS game, so the last thing
that means, a visionOS game, but
the last thing I was thinking about doing, getting back to the visionOS thing, I was thinking it'd be kind of interesting, which is to make a dance game.
Oh, like you mean like DDR,
Dance Rush, Stardom, those types of like.
But can you with $3,500 of glass and aluminum on your head?
So here are two problems.
And some
aside from the one you just mentioned, which is the strap.
That's like the one I think of the most.
Would anybody be bobbing with $3,500 on their head? Right.
I don't know.
So that would be one thing.
They'll bob for with $1,000. Isn't that how much the Meta thing is, and the high end one like $1,000 now or something, or $800? I don't know. It's at least in hundreds.
So the other problem is I don't think visionOS has any. It has a camera that points down, but I don't know if it can read what your feet are doing. If it can read what your feet are doing, then maybe I can do something that's similar to DDR, where I can like say, "Oh, you're on this side," or Dance Rush Stardom, where you're on this side or that side. So the other option I was thinking would be actually interesting and cool, was to be able to like use your hand to like. I mean, it's basically Beat Saber, but just punching or tapping or like slicing. So the idea is to create a way so that like maybe if you hit something, they will like fly away, or like you're knocking them out of the way, right? But then it's like to the beat of a music.
Yeah. How about using your iPhone as a camera pointed at you wearing the visionOS, so if it can't see your feet, at least your phone can see your feet.
Oh, that'd be
relay that back.
You just have it on
adjust
top.
For the lag.
You just have it pointing down to you.
Yeah, just have the camera in front. You know, you can use your iPhone as a camera with Apple TV now for video calls. Like same thing. Like have it sit there looking at you, and then it can track your feet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought the cameras on the visionOS was pretty wide angle. You could see.
Are,
but I don't know if you're right. Right. I don't know. It's meant. I think it's meant for you sitting down though.
That's
mostly.
That's the thing. It's like it's meant to look for your pinchiness, your pinchy hands, right?
Yeah. So I don't know about the feet thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing. The other thing that I wanted to do was like be able to take your hand. One of the trippiest things I ever saw with any of these sort of VR tools was they were able to when they incorporated a Leap Motion device on one of the Mark II or something like that VR devices. So this was when I was at Philly Game Forge, when they were kind of like the little like art studio games, indie game studio back in the day. And they one of the experiments was they had the Leap Motion onto a VR device, and then when you're in the VR, you're looking at your hands, and they kind of track your hand movement, and so they can basically skin a 3D robot model hand onto your hand, so your hand looks like they're robot hands or some other.
I want robot hands.
And then it's really trippy to like look at, like, whoa, like, and then so I wanted to do something where maybe not so dramatic, but maybe like you would have like these sort of like power gloves or something like that would like track with your hands.
Power gloves, cool.
Because we can do that with AR Kit, that we can identify your already. We can identify like the rig of your hand and what it's doing. Like basically the like what each part of your index of your hand is doing, and track that to track what you can, whether or not you want to shoot a beam or hit something. So one of the experiments I want to do, like a base experiment, is to build like blocks coming at you. We already have like a test app on Apple, a sample app called Happy Beam.
Yeah.
That I want to just strip that down and just be able to be like do a karate chop.
Although, I would like to also do some visionOS stuff, but my question about the visionOS stuff is, if we don't have the hardware, like, are we too limited? I mean, how much can you do without the actual hardware?
Nothing.
Like, I mean, that's my thing. So I'm hesitant to spend much time looking at visionOS stuff, because I don't see myself having access to the hardware anytime in the near future. Even after
let me
it comes
rephrase
out.
that. If you're building a traditional app, in the same context, maybe but still using like a visual and pointing to the visionOS native target, you can build a very simple app, straightforward app.
Yeah. By the way, like the App Store, I think automatically includes all your apps in visionOS unless you turn it off. Right. I noticed this. I went in there and I was like, no, this was no way this thing is going to even work in visionOS. I was like, I do not believe that.
It'll work. No. It'll work in the same way like an iOS or iPad app would work on your Mac.
It's going to work poorly. I turned that off too. It's going to work poorly. I don't need that. I don't need I don't need stuff that was built like 10 years ago in Objective-C trying to run on visionOS, a platform I will not even have access to. So when I get the bug reports in about how it doesn't work in visionOS, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't even run this thing. I don't need that hassle.
The one thing you can
just a warning,
is like, we don't support visionOS. Yeah, I get it.
Like, unless you're just be cognizant that that's a thing. I didn't realize that it automatically opted every application in. Mm-hmm. I was like, what? Okay.
But I think
anyway, you were saying, what can we do if you're just building a regular app? I could kind of see you use a simulator, you can get it working, and if it works decently in the simulator, it's probably okay. And then maybe there'll be a continued expansion to lab type deals. If you can try stuff out, maybe. But what if you want to make like a visionOS experience that's not a flat, like the like a 2D screen in visionOS? I mean, I don't see how you can do that very well without the hardware.
No, I mean, the hardest part is like understanding, like the simulator, as far as I understand it, doesn't at all, like give you a sense of what makes it special, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So it's like, I can't justify buying it if it's $3,500 or more. Mm-hmm. So for version 1 of something, I can't. So I think there's a lot of people like me that are just not. I mean, how are we going to back to it? Maybe someone can buy one and then rent it out.
You just have to convince your company that you need to develop for it. Then
I mean, yeah, I guess. Except my company, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, I guess that's what I mean. So if you work for a company that has access to the funds for it, it seems makes sense to them to buy it. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of like indie apps. I mean, I guess there's a lot of indie developers. I mean, $35 is not like an obscene amount of money just if you're going to build something. But I don't have any revenue. So
I mean,
it's too much.
I mean, I
don't know.
I would say
I'm probably gonna buy one anyway.
You're
Watch. I'll just end up with one. I'll just I'll just Slack you one day. Like, you know what? Just like I did with the Apple Watch. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go buy one. I just went and got it.
I don't know, Aaron. What about? I mean, the way I'm looking at it is much more like it would almost have to be like a purchase from work versus like a purchase that we would personally do.
Or everybody groups together and then it's like a shared vision.
Shared
but you got to
thing.
reset it each time you go to person, right?
Then we have to start a company, and we definitely need a path to making money.
There you go. Yeah, we have a.
We got to get that visionOS money.
Yeah, now we need. Now it's upgraded from it's
Studio
upgraded
Display.
from Studio Display money to visionOS.
Studio Display, like
But
3 visionOS.
But the visionOS money, you got to put it up front. So.
Yeah, it's basically visionOS money is essentially
Well, we got
Studio Display money times 3.
I feel like this is like this is how MLMs work. Is like you got to put some money up front first. You got to get some skin in the game.
I don't know, man. I'm so curious. It's like I feel like I know we're getting a little over time now, but
yeah.
And we keep talking about the visionOS. visionOS is I feel like there's a potential for a gold rush again, but I don't think it's going to happen right away. I think it might be a little more slow roll. Maybe not though, because it's like the thing is it's going to come out. And then people are going to experience it in some way. And if Apple's smart, they'll have some way for you to like experience it. And once people do, from the early reports I read, it is really, really mind-blowing. And if that's true, if that holds, that it beyond just like the Golden Path demo, if it really is that amazing of an experience for people, like or novel, I mean, that could generate a lot of sales, you know, and it could generate a lot of interest in getting software, and then there could be a whole other gold rush thing for the few people that have it. And so I don't know. I mean, I could also see it being a slow roll where it's like maybe a couple years from now when it's real big.
The way I look at it is like there are going to be a group of people who, I mean, there's a reason why it's called Pro. There's Pro in the title.
Yeah, I think Pro is when Apple says this is going to cost you a lot of money. Like prepare to sell your car to buy this.
But the thing is, like, this is not targeted to people like us. This is more targeted to people who've got a lot of extra income.
The same people who buy Leica cameras are going to buy Vision Pros, right?
Well, there's that, and then there's the other group.
And then there's there's like businesses are going to buy it because it has legitimate, like real legitimate. It's going to help them make money. Or design shops are going to buy it. People are designing, I think, a lot of different things. So that's the thing. That if you're in a software space that services customers that are likely to buy it, then it makes sense. If you're like me, you know, floundering here to like, you know, put something in the App Store this year, you know, it's like it's not justifiable. So I mean, it really comes down to your individual situation. I don't think we can blanket say it's going to be like, you know, useful enough for you to buy one.
One idea that I think would be amazing would to be like, well, I could do floor planning with this.
Yeah, floor planning. Right? Yeah, games. I feel like games are going to be big though.
I visual effects, right? Like I want to map out a scene, right? Assuming I can record with this camera, I'm assuming you can, right? You can. But now I want to superimpose like the visual, like I want to have these characters in space, in 3D space, and sort of map out the way I record, how I want the camera to move.
See, this is interesting. What about like for filmmaking, if that works that way? I mean, I don't know. We don't know full capabilities yet, but like if you could film from a first person perspective, you know, and get like a 3D, you know, map of like an environment going, like it could be really useful for previs for stuff. It could be useful for, I mean, beyond the stuff that Apple demoed. I just feel like there's a lot of potential in the platform. I'm just not sure that I am going to be buying in on the version 1 because I don't think unless you know we suddenly make like $4,000. How much is money we need to make plus minus taxes?
You and
like $5,000 or something, then we can buy one.
You and I had talked about the idea of taking your prints and being able to see your photos. I'm sorry.
The photos,
and then maybe see how they might look.
Like on your wall or something. I mean, that's something you can basically. I think there's that we should do another visionOS topic, especially when it comes out. But like you could do that with a phone now, but it's not the same kind of experience, like the AR experience. No. But if you put it on, it'd be like that cringy Meta demo from a few years ago. Remember that metaverse demo video where he's like inside his virtual house and stuff. But yeah, I have actually used my iPhone and I think like the IKEA app or something like that to try to visualize something in a space, and it just
think
makes a lot of sense
closer to like
visionOS.
Lightroom, but on steroids, right? As opposed
I like
to,
that. Yeah,
and then think about it from a context of like you were able to like scroll.
I think
okay, I want this, and then bring out. I'm doing these crazy minority
these
report
gestures, like
but,
minority
like,
report
bring
gestures.
Out,
but you're right
bring
though,
out,
because there might be interaction paradigms that actually make you more efficient by doing it in this AR type of space than using a keyboard and mouse. Maybe.
Sure.
It depends on what you're doing. Like I think direct manipulation of stuff or indirect manipulation in a 3D space, whatever, using gestures and things, it might actually be more efficient in some ways. Don't know. Don't know. It's like one of those things to experiment with because it is a new paradigm that we're not experienced with yet. And
sure.
I still think I should probably, I think I talked before, I should probably just get one of those first gen or second, whatever the cheaper Meta headsets is. It's like, what is the one that's like a few $100 now?
Right.
Because I should probably just do that because now I can play around a little bit.
Right. Cool. Well, I think we should. We've set our New Year's resolution. So
yeah, I got to edit all this. So
I'm gonna wrap it up here for now. You can learn more about Philly Cocoa at phillycocoa.org. There you'll find links to our Slack group, meetup schedule, and contact info. If you're feeling generous, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your podcast platform of choice is. And share us with all your developer friends. And one more thing. More dad jokes.
Oh my god.
But because I'm thinking about getting an 8K monitor on the first month of January. It will be my New Year's resolution.
Oh my god. Are these your jokes or are these ChatGPT jokes?
These are Reddit programmer dad jokes.
That's even worse. There's like your own jokes. There's then below that is ChatGPT jokes, and then like way at the bottom of the barrel underneath some crud, that's Reddit jokes.
Here's another one for you. A base class that converted to a derived class object walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Why do you look so downcast?"
Oh my god, it's such a complicated setup too.
And
like,
finally,
I love these jokes. I don't know why. So bad.
What is a Disney lawyer's most favorite Windows command?
What?
ipconfig/renew.
Brad, that is perfect considering the Mickey Mouse thing going on right now.
Till next time, good luck on your own developer journey. We will cheer for you always.
We didn't even get to my visionOS iScreen rant.
iScreen rant?
The iScreen rant.
Well, Kotaro heard it. What we were talking about.
You might as well just say it on.
Do it now while I'm recording.
No,
you don't want to do it.
No, it doesn't matter. just like why is that? Why is that a thing? Can we get rid of like $500 from the price?
You talking about the fake deep fake eyes?
Yeah, I can't stand it. I can't stand it.
It's to humanize it.
I hate it so much.